You're tuned in to the Foxboro BeatCast, a podcast for Patriots fans by Patriots fans. And here's your host, Kaleb McChesney.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Foxboro BeatCast. First time in a little bit since maybe the draft or the week after the draft. I haven't been around. It's been busy. Obviously, no Trent here with me today, but I do have a very special guest. You already heard him on the intro here. He's the lovely voice you hear that introduces me every single week. My good pal Gerardo. Round of applause, finally making the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. You know what I'm saying? Thanks to you, dude. Thanks to you. I really appreciate this.
Thanks to dude. I mean, I can't make audio like that. I mean, Jesus, I don't have that PA voice. I'm there's a reason I'm not on radio.
And there's going to be a reason why I've not been on this podcast. Probably going to be my takes on some of these things we got talking about today.
Listen to this. We've heard crazier. But Gerardo is the voice you've heard every single episode at the beginning and at the end. Makes this show sound as good as it is. I'll let you introduce yourself because you've been the man behind the microphone instead of the man on camera. So I'll let you have your 2 cents and introduce people to who you are, what you're about, what you're doing, and we'll dive right in.
Of course. I am the voice for the intro for the Foxboro BeatCast. Know Kaleb through our lovely Facebook group. Been great friends with him through this whole time.
It's true.
I'm a DJ here locally in Houston. I'm on the Houston's Country Leader 93Q, so the number one country radio station here. And
no, it's like you say that for a living.
Yeah. No, if you really want me to put on my radio voice, I can. This is usually how it's funny because like I do get calls from my girlfriend and my mom and my family, and they're like, "You do not sound like that in person." And I said, "Oh, it's the microphone. That's why."
Yeah.
But other than that, if you can't tell what my favorite team is, I'm wearing black and like silver pretty much all the time. I am a Raiders fan, but
so I shouldn't mention the tuck rule.
Yes. Oh, man. Listen, dude, I'm a little bit more of a realistic Raiders fan. I only like them because, black looks good on me. That's literally the only reason why.
Listen, that's some of the coolest uniform sets and some of the coolest merchandise in football. So
if I've heard a lot through other podcasts about they talk about top 5 uniforms of all time, like in NFL history. You got your Chargers powder blue, like the iconic old one cool. When they used to always rock navy.
Yep.
Oilers powder blues, like powder blue is such an elite color. Pittsburgh Steelers is also because it's just legendary. Hate them all you want. Cowboys whites is still pretty tight. Whites with the silver pants. Nod to y'all. The Patriots with the logo with the dude hiking the ball.
The Reds. Yeah, the Reds.
Chef's kiss on that one. And Raiders iconic black and silver. I think a lot of times, same thing with college football. The simpler the jerseys are, the much nicer they are.
No, I'm 100% with you. A lot of the uniforms that have come out over the last 5-6 years have been just awful, just bad.
Mm-hmm. It's starting to look like I am here from Houston, born and raised here. And many people wonder why I'm not a Texan fan, because I was a fan of the Oilers, and they decided to leave. But I speaking on that, their new jersey concepts they came out this year. Tell me that AI made your jerseys without AI telling me they made your jerseys.
No, those red ones I hated. They're bad.
And then it's also that H2. It looks very
it looks XFL.
Nothing. Thank you. It looks like
it's
the
very
Roughnecks
XFL
in town.
It looks like a Roughnecks afterthought.
Keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Stay within your lane. You ain't got to do nothing extra. If you find an old jersey, dust it off and put it on. Stop trying to be something you ain't. The Oilers are in Tennessee, and it is what it is.
And Titans jerseys are cool. I like their ones when I was a kid more, but the ones they have now are fine.
Oh yeah, Green Bay's iconic. It has never changed. Never changed. Except when they did those. What was it? The navy top with the brown pants.
Yeah, the stupid throwbacks with the yellow dot in the middle. Ugliest, one of the ugliest ones, up there with the Broncos, the brown ones that they
the
had.
Brown and that's terrible.
No, that brings up nightmares for Patriots fans. That's when Josh McDaniels beat us up there.
Oh, God bless.
They wore those.
Nobody was a fan of those Broncos teams outside of Scott in the Facebook group. He's the only one who was a fan of those.
Just
But yeah, other than that, yes, I'm a big Raiders fan. Favorite player of all time, anybody wants to know, it has to be my boy Ken Stabler at the Raiders.
good pick.
Yep. Other than that, Derek Carr, like all timer for me. I loved him. He's from here. Well, he grew up out there in Fresno, moved here with his brother when he was drafted by the Houston Texans. The dude is a local legend. Like even when he was in 8th grade and 9th grade practicing football, the dude had a crowd watch him. And promise you, he said hi to everybody. He's as nice as people say he is. And a little bit upset that the Raiders got rid of him. He was my favorite. He's their best quarterback of all time, technically.
No, he's certainly in that. I feel like when you talk about the greatest Raiders quarterback of all time, it's kind of like talking about the Vikings one. Like where do you put Kirk Cousins up there on the list? Because it's a franchise that hasn't had a ton of great quarterbacks. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
the Vikings
kind of an odd fit.
The Vikings do this, and it's funny that talking about them, the only good quarterbacks in their franchises is when they use other teams as quarterbacks, not ones they draft.
No, seriously, yeah.
Cunningham, Warren Moon, Kirk Cousins.
Tarkenton was he?
Well, that was their only one, yes, and
yeah.
But at the same time, like those Frank Tarkenton, yeah, a lot nostalgic wise, everybody would probably say is the Vikings' best quarterback, but those other three, like all up there to me for them.
No, for sure. Speaking of Raiders jerseys, before we move on, I have two. I have the Derek Carr jersey, and he got traded like literally months after, or he got cut months after. Was very upset about that. And then I got the Jimmy G jersey because everybody knows big Jimmy Garoppolo fan. I won't be getting the Rams jersey because those are awful. But
the funny similar story, but except I just didn't buy the jersey at the time. I was a huge Khalil Mack fan. Gets traded the day I almost bought his jersey.
Aren't you glad you didn't?
And I was like, nope, I'm good. I'm going to just keep it as is. And almost got me a Derek Carr Raiders jersey because I legitimately thought he was going to be a Raider for life. I thought there was no way that whole scenario happened.
What's your jersey size?
I got one. That's what happens when you hire the dude, your old friend.
Best offensive coordinator we've had, though. Anyways, yeah. So where was I going to go with this? We got stuff on the table. We got NFL schedule came out. I meant to do the show last week. Got caught up in some stuff. And we're here this week. It released last week. We're here this week to talk about it. We got the Patriots schedule. We got the league as a whole. We're going to talk about some primetime games that maybe shouldn't exist, some primetime games that maybe should exist, and then some way too early predictions at the end because everybody loves just getting on the table and just
so they can timestamp this and they can put it in and be like,
clip it. Oh, remember when you said Derek Carr was going to throw for 4,000 yards? What a loser!
Hey, Gerardo, stick to just being the voice. Don't get on here and share your opinions. Just read scripts.
Yeah.
But we do have breaking news.
We got a loaded show
about the draft that came in today.
Oh yeah, we do have that. We do have that news about the draft that we can share. It's gonna be in Pittsburgh in 2026, and then next year, I believe, said what was it? Was it Vegas?
Yep, I believe
Vegas
so.
in 2025, Pittsburgh in 2026.
So there we go. Pittsburgh is getting an NFL draft. They won't pick near the top because if they keep Mike Tomlin, they'll just be in the 20s.
No, back the rest into 8 and 9 every year.
See, it's funny. I did like when they went to franchises that historically picked in the first overall pick, like Detroit.
No, they definitely imagined that the Lions were going to be picking a little bit higher than they did.
Oh yeah. But what a great experience. I mean, you understand where we have come from, especially now us draft Nick community. This is now becoming a staple. People love talking about the draft. People love, actually
no,
not watching.
It's almost as big as the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, it's crazy because back then when I was in high school, 2009 to 2012, people thought that was so nerdy that it was just bro, you look at Excel sheets pretty much, and it's no, it's just it's kind of fun seeing what's the next in line. It's kind of like being a hipster. Honestly, it's like saying, "Oh, I liked him before he got drafted," or "I knew he was going to be a six-round
steal." I'm going not to make myself a dork here, but I'm going through the same thing with the court of public opinion changing on Nickelback in the last year and a half.
Of course, all of a sudden.
Yeah, no. Oh, okay. Where were you in the trenches back in 2012, huh?
Exactly. Because the internet told y'all to hate on them. All of a sudden, y'all don't like them. All right.
Yeah, like you weren't singing Rockstar in your backseat.
Come
Anyway, Pittsburgh gets the draft. Foxboro Beat might be there. Just throwing it out there. Throwing a little something out there. I don't know how my live
Manifesting
streaming capabilities are mobily, but we'll see.
Manifesting it as you will.
Yeah, no, we're just throwing breadcrumbs out there. But am I missing anything else?
No, that's pretty much about it. Other Pittsburgh news technically out there in lovely old Philadelphia.
Oh boy.
Penn State getting allegations on them.
Once again, they don't hire the best men for coaches, do they?
But as of right now, it is all alleged, and all it is just that James Franklin, had some decisions to make on some medical decisions on players. What those may or may not be, we have yet to see. But so far, the doctors have just came out and said that he made a lot of the final decisions on medical decisions for players. So that's
Yikes.
whatever that could be. Like that could be like super extreme. Like the dude has like a sprained calf and he's telling the kicker, "Hey, just go out there and kick."
Pop his Achilles.
Oh yeah, I mean, but that's pretty much all the big Pittsburgh Philly day today. It seems.
No, seriously, yeah, it's the most attention they'll get until we're sitting here in December. Like, wait, Pittsburgh's right in the playoffs there.
Good old Mike Tomlin. You know he's not going to lose. He always has a winning record, baby.
Winning record, and he has to have a winning record now because he can't go 500 anymore.
Oh my God!
With
yeah,
the odd
now
number.
Hey, they still got it, baby.
No,
They
seriously,
still
yeah. Now
got
they
it.
have to commit to winning. Anyways, let's open up with the Pat stuff real quick. Let's open up, break this right open. The Patriots schedule. If you haven't seen it, we'll run through it. But the Patriots, in my opinion, got absolutely boned by the NFL schedule makers. I don't know if you agree with this, Gerardo, but the Patriots are going to play roughly 21 weeks of straight football between training camp and their only bye week in week 14 of the NFL season. They take a trip to London without a bye week right next to it. They have two separate trips to the West Coast, playing in San Francisco early on in the season and then playing in Arizona after the bye week. Let's go over this in kind of a general sense, what 2024 should have in store for the Patriots. Some other questions to answer. When does Drake May start, if at all? What are the games we're looking forward to the most? And what is the early record prediction for the team? So I'll just run through the schedule really quick. Week 1, the Patriots are opening in Cincinnati on September 8th. Week 2, at home versus Seattle. Week 3, at the Jets on Thursday Night Football. That is the Patriots' only primetime game. The 49ers, week 4 at 4:05. Week 5 versus Miami at home. Then they have the Texans on a little bit of a homestand. They go to London after the Texans game to play the Jaguars. They come back home the next week to play the Jets. Then they go on the road twice for Tennessee and Chicago. Then they have the Rams at home. Dolphins Thanksgiving week in Miami. Then they have the Colts at home until before their first bye week. Then they finish the season with the Cardinals on the road, the Bills on the road, the Chargers at home, and they close the season with the Bills at home. So they get the Bills 2 times in 3 weeks. That's kind of brutal. Just not a fun schedule, I don't think, Gerardo. I mean, what do you make of the Patriots getting absolutely porked here by the NFL gods here?
I mean, yeah, like I would say that it is a very tough schedule. It's a very tough. You got a first-time head coach. You also got a new quarterback as well too. To answer that, I would think that you would honestly have to start playing him immediately. I know you got did Jacoby Brissett come back?
Jacoby Brissett, yeah, but he's not the QB1 according to some Patriots fans.
I mean, like, let's be honest. I brought him there just in case. Have you seen the
Patriots discourse on 6th round pick Joe Milton?
Look,
they think he's QB1, man. They think he's going to come in and just take over the world.
That's cute. Like, I mean, Drake. But the thing is, though, Drake May goes into a situation he was very similar with at North Carolina. If a lot of people aren't familiar with this game, he isn't just some tall 6'5" guy, right? Like he really is. He sat behind Sam Howell, and arguably, like, with Mac Brown was a great recruiter out there for them. And he set himself up very well that when Sam Howell was going to go to the NFL, that he was going to have Drake May right there to easily take the reins. Sam Howell probably had way more talent throughout his course at North Carolina. I would also say Drake May's probably sophomore season was the most talented he had around him. This year, he dragged a team that had no business winning games to win games. And he's now going to be put into that same scenario now at New England. And he was under good leadership with Mac Brown, despite how he fell out of UT and he went back to North Carolina. I do think that with Mayo's a great coach. I think you made a great decision there. And regardless, like what it was either going to be Mayo or like maybe Mike Vrabel was an outside chance, but regardless,
No,
I
I
still
think
think
before we had announced Mayo as the head coach, I think Vrabel probably would have been like my number one choice. But Vrabel got ousted from Tennessee because he wasn't great at hiring his assistants. He kind of just hired his buddies.
I mean, if
And
you
he
win
got
games,
ousted
does it
also
matter?
because the Titans are kind of a poverty organization. But it's one of the reasons they cited, and one of the probably the most fair criticism that they could have of Vrabel is that his assistants weren't always on par.
Yeah, I still think you guys got the second best option. Like it was either to me Vrabel or Mayo. Like which one are you
No,
going
I
to
agree.
pick?
I agree.
And so I think that Drake May goes into a situation in which he has a coaching staff that trust him, picked him, wanted to pick him. I still think that if you had the number one overall pick, there would actually still be a decision to be made between him and Caleb Williams. I still think I'm a big USC fan, and I think Drake May is the number one guy because of the fact that he dragged a very untalented UNNC team to wins, was very competitive, put up stats, was kept getting better and better and better each and every year statistically with worse and worse talent. He's going to go now to start off his career in the NFL with the worst talent in comparison to the league,
No, I
probably.
was watching a Patriots deep dive video last night, and like the Patriots offense overall is the passing offense at the very least is 32nd as far as talent goes.
Oh,
Like
yeah,
there's
and then but the
we don't
thing
have
is, like,
great pass blockers, we don't have great receivers or any number one receiver for the matter of fact. I mean, our de facto number one is Kendrick Bourne, who is at best a 2 or 3.
right. And then he gets to like you're gonna have growing pains, and why not have growing pains when you already don't have talent? You get what I'm saying? Like it isn't like he's coming in and he's like at Minnesota where it's just like, oh, we have all this talent around you. You just have to make the mistakes, not us. And he gets to be here and goes essentially like it's going to be an easy transition, I believe, for him. Like, is he not going to win as much games? Yeah, sure. But at the same time, I could promise you 99% of all Patriots fans and any NFL fans don't think the Patriots are making the playoffs or even have a remotely winning season
No,
this year. And the schedule proves it as well, too, that it's going to be a very long, a very tough schedule for them. But it's also going
21
to,
weeks of straight football.
yeah, and it's also going to battle test a lot of your players, too. Like, if you're looking at this long term wise, like, what's the point of having a soft schedule when you start off? Why not make it your hardest part of this long process early on? So that way, when it comes to Drake May's third year, when it comes to his contract, like second year into his second contract, when you have talent around him, that he's been through this adversity, something everybody wants their quarterbacks to do, something that all your coaching staff, your GM have all been through this tough time, now acquired all this talent, and now could start winning games.
No, it is definitely a long term picture kind of big rebuild. I wouldn't be
Listen,
shocked if Drake May starts week 1. I also wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't play till after the bye week and they give him the closing set
yeah,
and they
it's
bring
either
him back
or. It
after
doesn't.
London.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't matter. Like if you want to protect him because you have like no passers and you don't want to David Carr him, like sure, I totally understand that.
I think that would
That's
probably
what.
be that'd be the hesitation that, oh my god, like we're gonna get him killed.
Yeah,
And
like that's what I'm saying. Like either way of how you split this decision, I still think it's a good thing. Like there's no you want to put him out to the wolves. Well, just know the what the repercussions may come from that is like he may develop bad habits. He may end up like Blake Bortles, like what's the dude's name when Jacksonville before him with he backed up Tom Brady.
oh,
He was from
Blaine Gabbert.
Blaine Gabbert, David Carr, like quarterbacks who all they did was get hit, and their internal clock is so screwed up that they don't even have right sleeping schedules. Like that's the last thing you want to do to a franchise quarterback, especially somebody you look after like Drake May, because the Patriots have never been in this position to be drafting this high and also be picking at a premium position at
Oh
quarterback.
hey, yes they have back in 1993. with Drew Bledsoe at number 1 overall.
Oh, and then what's his face before then, who went to the Raiders to win a Super Bowl? He
Oh,
played at Stanford.
did
Jim
Eason
Plunkett.
remember? Oh, Plunkett.
Jim Plunkett. Yep. So y'all, I mean, yes, y'all have bid there
Not under
before,
this
but
ownership. I don't know if Bledsoe was a craft pick.
I think he was
That
a
I
decent
can't.
player.
No, he was.
Like,
No, but I mean, he played for 8 years and got a 10-year extension. Went to a Super Bowl. The teams weren't always good. The coaching wasn't always good. I mean, Pete Carroll here was kind of a disaster. Bill Parcells, by the time he was here, was kind of just inching his way out the door. And then the first year, Belichick was 5-11.
yeah, but it's kind of funny enough. You want to know what all the success between all these great franchises is the fact that there's no incompetence at the top of your food chain. The moment Kraft came in, he established what he wanted to do with this organization. He went out and sought after it and did it. Like that's how all organizations want to be successful. And I fully believe that with you guys. The fact that Kraft made the right decision in getting Gerard Mayo, and the fact that this is the quarterback that they wanted to decide collectively as a whole, unlike Atlanta.
Jesus.
Yeah, like I said, sometimes the NFL is predictable. Like it isn't that hard. Like also something about the NFL schedule, a lot of people don't know. It's actually you kind of already know the opponents you're going to play.
No,
So
yeah, years in advance.
once
It's on a
every 4
rotation.
years, yeah. So once every 4 years, your AFC team swaps between the other divisions. So like this year, we're going to see Caleb Williams versus CJ Stroud. We all
Yep.
knew that because the Texans hadn't played the Bears or the NFC North in God knows how long. So we knew it was going to happen. We just don't know when it was going to happen. I think y'all screwing over was the fact that you don't get a bye week until week 14. And the fact that you have an international game in the middle of all this. And you also don't have
no
any
bye week
favorites.
after that.
Exactly. And then it's just like, oh, so you guys are just like your trials and tribulations are coming now.
Then don't forget the 2 separate West Coast trips instead of getting them both back to back.
Exactly. Like even that, like that's kind of like where a lot of people need to see like the details between all these scheduling is kind of that. It isn't about who you're playing, it's how you're playing them, when you're playing them, and like, oh, so like we just ain't gonna get no bye week when we come back from London. Okay. Oh, we're gonna go to take 2 West Coast trips when we live on the opposite side of this planet. Okay.
No, I think I saw that we travel the most miles of any NFL team, but with those 2 West Coast trips and those and that London trip.
And
I'm not used to the Patriots having such a hard schedule. Like when I was a kid, I mean, Brady going to the AFC Championship game was just kind of it's gonna happen. You're gonna win.
Y'all schedule started in like November or like December. Like, come on now.
Yeah, no, right. We would have 11 or 12 wins every year, between 11 and 14 every year. And then you go to the playoffs, you have the bye week. It just matters, okay, are you going to be on the road for the title game or are you going to be playing at Gillette? And that was the concern. Regular season was just all kind of a dog and pony show.
Like it was like this when the Patriots, like during that time, preseason was training camp to them. The first 4 games was actual preseason for them. Because it's funny because how many times that you can remember the Patriots started 2-2 or 1-3 in their first 4 games.
We won the Super Bowl every time.
And then guess what happened the rest of the way? Like, don't lose a 10-game win streak. Like, the only time they ever had a hot start is when they went undefeated, really. Like, other than that,
if we had a hot start, we probably lost in the title game.
Exactly. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's always funny how, like, the Patriots, the big reason by their success was, like, preseason is not a good evaluation standpoint. And even Roger Goodell said that as well, too. He doesn't like preseason games because it's kind of like your likelihood of getting hurt is going to happen the most in preseason games. And the fact that it's kind of like meaningless, really. Like, yeah, like I get that there's guys out there that they get a roster spot because of preseason games. But at the same time, for like the Patriots, like they were just looking at preseason games like, okay, like we have to go do this.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Joint practices, I've read, is where they got most of their work in.
Oh yeah, most teams do because that's real. Like that's real emotion. That's real, and there's like no consequence really. Like yeah, you're gonna just tell them, hey, don't fight, but at the same time, you realize who on your team actually wants to win and who doesn't. Like a meaningless game. Like what is Tom Brady holding a clipboard going to do for your team? How are you going to
Seriously.
evaluate that?
He's gonna sit
Like,
there and just like, give Jimmy G the weird eye as he as he goes and trots out in the second quarter of a preseason game.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's always been funny that the Patriots handled especially nowadays. Like the NFL season's longer now, so why not treat your first 4 games of the season as preseason? Like, oh, that's actual. Like they're putting their ones against our ones. That's ones against ones all day long. Let's find out what kind of team we are.
And then use the
And
joint practices for the maybe just an idea. Maybe the first 4 weeks of the season, the games count, but you have the joint practices leading up to it.
okay,
So your backups get your reps, and you figure out who's who, and those are mostly open to the public, I believe, when they have joint practices. So you can watch that if you really want to. So you can charge for people to watch that. I mean, that's a moneymaker right there. So the first 4 weeks, you have your joint practices, the games count, and your ones on ones. Like I think that could work out. But I don't know. I'm not the most creative mind out here. I'm just throwing stuff out there and seeing what
no
sticks.
problem. But yeah, this
Um,
schedule is pretty tough. How I do schedules a lot. I don't know if other people do this. I do best case scenario for a team, worst case scenario for a team, and
and
split
then
the
you just
difference.
try to find a middle.
Exactly. Like it's between usually back then I used to do a 3-game caveat. Like I'd be like, this team is within 3 wins or 3 losses from this record. On paper, the worst case scenario for the Patriots, you win 1 game. Worst case
Which game
scenario.
is that? Do you have one?
That would be Chicago. I think that would be
Really
the
low in
only game.
Chicago.
Yeah, the only one would be in Chicago. I think Chicago, I they have more talent on paper, without a doubt. I just think that their coaching staff is either going to be fired by then or like it's just going to be like, what are we doing here? We just drafted this quarterback and then it's just like he's plays, he doesn't play, he's hurt, he ain't hurt. Like I feel like that's such a Chicago thing to happen. And so especially with their ownership as well too. Like the one coaching staff I could not understand why you have the number 1 overall pick. Why in the world is he your head coach? Like I don't get it. So I do think that y'all's coaching staff, like your X's and O's, is going to beat that team. Like I do think by that point, that's going to be this
That
week 10,
is, yep.
and by that point, you already know who your guys are and the Patriots. By that, 100%, you're going to know who's a dude, who ain't a dude at that point. Y'all know how to game plan up and down. You know if Gerard Mayo is as good of a coach as as a lot of people has praised him to be. By that point, would figure it out X's and O's. So maybe you guys only lose by only 10 points, 14-point games, or like a field goal or so. And where I think Chicago is like, they just going to beat the opponents because they just got more talent. Talent can only get you so far in this league if you don't got no good X's and O's. Like, yeah, you could put up 14 points, but if the other team puts up 21, what are you going to do then? So I think that worst case scenario, y'all have 1 win. Best case scenario, you have 7 wins.
7
And
wins.
7 wins, best case scenario. There's a lot of 50-50 games on this schedule for you guys. Your first 50-50 game is Jacksonville. I do not know what Jacksonville's doing. I know Doug Peterson's a great coach and won a Super Bowl. I know Trevor Lawrence was anointed as one of the greatest NFL quarterback prospects of
But no,
all
listen,
time.
listen, listen. Okay, Jacksonville really has a quarterback competition down there. Did you realize that they went and acquired a first round quarterback this offseason?
Yes, I did. And I did
Got him for a
see.
bargain. Yeah.
And exactly, you telling me they lose if Jacksonville loses 4 games at the beginning of the season, that there ain't going to be like something written real quick in an article or two, or be talked about
Oh,
on
seriously. Yeah.
4-letter
If he
network.
comes out and he struggles, the Mac Jones media cartel is gonna go wild.
Oh
They
my
are.
God, yes. Nick Saban will be the next head coach there, without a doubt. He'll be their coach
Oh,
now.
now I kind of want it. Now I kind of want to see it.
But I
And
think that's y'all's
Belichick's
first.
gonna be his DC. It'll be great.
I think that's y'all's first 50-50 game right there, because I just don't know what Jacksonville's trying to be. You traded all this for Calvin Ridley to then just let him go to a divisional rival. You really didn't get that much better as a team, I thought they should have retained Calvin Ridley. Like, I still think that was like that chemistry was not going to happen overnight with them two, especially with a younger quarterback with finally stability at head coach. After that, you have the Jets at Pats. I think that's another 50-50 game because I don't think Robert Saleh's a head coach. I also don't know what type of Aaron Rodgers we're going to get. When is his arm going to give out? His knee gave out last year.
His
Achilles. Yeah, like is exactly. So like what's next? Like it's age eventually sneaks up on people, unlike Tom Brady.
And Rodgers already wasn't great that last year in Green Bay.
When is the decline going to happen? And then also it's like, yeah, they drafted, I believe they improved their offensive line, but like that offensive line was still a mess to begin with. So
and listen, Robert Saleh might be a bottom 5 coach in the league right now.
Oh yeah. Like, and so then you got that Pats against Tennessee.
And you said earlier before we came on that this is like the worst team in the league to you.
Yeah, it's up there.
It's a 50-50?
I think there's five guaranteed teams that suck in the NFL right now. The Broncos, the Tennessee Titans, the Patriots, the Cardinals, and I'd probably say what else we got up there? And Chicago. And well, not real. I think Chicago's heading in the right direction. The other one is the Panthers. They suck too.
Oh, cool.
Like those are 5 teams to me. Like you're just fighting for the top 5 picks. What order y'all want them in? It's because I see what the Patriots and Bears are doing. That's long-term planning. That's not a quick flip fix right there. And their divisions are tough. So it's not like, oh, the Patriots got Drake May and the Bills were an 8-8 team last year and the Dolphins are 9-7. Like, no, it's like they all have their franchise quarterbacks. They all have their head coaches they want to retain. The only mess of a organization you got is the Jets in y'all's division, who on paper technically are better than y'all.
No,
but
for sure.
I give y'all 50-50 chance because like you guys are going to be playing them at home. After that, Tennessee, like I said, is a 50-50. You got rid of y'all's great head coach for no apparent reason other than he hired his buddies and won with them. You got rid of the best running back y'all had since Eddie George. And you decided to go in a completely new direction with... Now, granted, I do like the fact that they put weapons around Will Levis. They said, Will Levis is our guy. We're going to give him weapons. I appreciate when teams do that. I really do. Like, because...
Yeah, well, what's that like?
In due time for the Patriots. I promise that. But I think that, like, I just still think on paper, Tennessee's just not a good team. Like, it's just... They don't have a good... I don't even know who their head coach is over there. I just know they got rid of Mike Vrabel, a guy who has nothing but a great record.
It's Callahan, I think. He came out of Cincinnati.
Let me tell you this. It's like the same coaching hire Tennessee did when they hired Mike Munchak. Remember that? Nobody does. Thank you.
No.
Exactly. You only remember the guy that was before the guy that came after the guy. Come on now.
No, not the Bengals head coach, the Titans head coach.
After that, you have Chicago. I think that y'all's win. But then that's like, to me, like that's a 60-40, 70-30% chance win. That's not like...
Brian Callahan is the Titans head coach.
Thank you. There you go. The next Mike Munchak.
He was the OC from the Bengals for the last 5 seasons.
Patriots, Indy. I gave that a 50-50 game.
I think that's a 50-50 too.
Because of the rivalry that you guys have. And it could be a new rivalry now. You're talking about Drake May versus Anthony Richardson as well, too. On that one. I do think that's a 50-50 game because I think the closer you guys get to the end of the season, like I said, you are starting to figure out what this team's identity is. What are we doing scheme wise? How are we going to run our offense? Is Drake May the guy? What kind of offense are we running around him? What works, what doesn't work? Cardinals is 50-50 as well too for them. I don't think they're a good team in the slightest.
They're getting better. With all their picks, they're starting to make it stick.
And then lastly, I just think, and then 3 more losses in a row to end the season. Buffalo.
You don't give us a chance against Buffalo?
I don't think they're that good of a team either this year. I want to see what Josh Allen does with no wide receivers.
Seriously, I think Sean McDermott could be kind of on his way out.
Yeah, that was a good way to do that. Was to not want your head coach anymore. Was, hey, let's just get rid of all his assets and
No,
see what
we'll make him
happens.
suck, and then we'll get rid of him.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think. But here's the thing: like when the Raiders had Derek Carr and Khalil Mack their first season, very bad team. I believe we only won 2 to 4 games that season, but we led the league in losses between only by 1 scores or
Yep.
less that year. We were like 4-12. And that means like, yeah, on paper, 4-12 sucks. But it was like you see the identity, you see the fact that we were in a lot of these games. That means if we kick the field goal, it's a tie game. So 4-12 is really what? 9-6, like 8-8, really. So that could potentially be the Patriots this year. We don't not know if, like, to me, Tennessee may get blown out by like 4 touchdowns in a game. You know, where the Patriots, where it's like I can see potentially why I say 7-10
Listen, that
possibly.
defense is going to be top half of the league. That secondary alone is going to be top 10.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like you guys are gonna, on paper, you guys could be 1-16, like worst case scenario. But like, let's say 16 of those losses came on 1 possession scores. Like you only lost by only 3 points, like 7 out of the 16 games, which shows you that there is process to be made. Now, if you're 1-16 and you out here getting blown out by an average of like 21 points, then that's a concern. Like to me, like the Panthers. Panthers straight up sucked last year. And the fact that they didn't have a draft pick to address that, because they would have done the whole Josh Rosen / Kyler Murray thing this year with 100% if they had that pick. No, they would have found somebody to trade Bryce Young, and the sad part is they would have gotten like a 6th rounder for him and not like a 3rd for Josh Rosen. And then they would have gotten Caleb Williams and completely flipped that team around. I just don't understand what the Panthers are doing.
It's just like we talked about from the start. It's just there's a lot of poverty organizations running around, and they just
it's just like, okay, are you in the league because you want to brag to your billionaire fans that you own a team, or are you in the league to win? Because there's a lot of teams that are in there to make money, and there ain't a lot of teams that win championships.
it's certainly something. So you're thinking, but somewhere between 7-10 and 4-13 for, or 1-15.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
1-16 worst case scenario, 7-10 best case scenario. You split the hair, it's 4-13.
4-13. Okay, yeah, I got there eventually. So 4 wins. It's what you had last year. But again, I don't think this offense is going to be as dysfunctional as it was last year. Like, I hope. I don't know what Alex Van Pelt is bringing to the table. A lot of those guys who have piggybacked off of Aaron Rodgers' success haven't worked out in the league all that well, and Pelt is certainly one of them. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. But DeMarcus Covington, the new DC, the D-line coach here forever, the defense is going to be fine. Defense is going to be terrific.
Like, look at, like I said, let's say you have the same record. What's the biggest difference this year if you end the year at 4-13 than last year?
You want the offense to look better. That's and the number one goal. You want it to not look like a catastrophe.
Right. And then, but at least going forward, you have the head coach now. That's not a question. You don't have to deal with Bill's pettiness anymore. You have a quarterback now starting 4-13. Unlike Mac Jones started off good.
10-7.
And so that means there's now a level of expectation for him, is the thing. That's kind of like why you want a gradual rise when you're having a young quarterback. The last thing you want to do is be instantly successful. Like that doesn't happen in the league. You know, like Robert Griffin, 10-6, right? Goes to the playoffs, busts his knee, over with. You know, like Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck was a slow graduation into like building an organization around him, like and team around him, and then he became successful long term until they realized they didn't want to build an offensive line for him.
No, right? It costs too much money to get some tackles. And now they blow tons of money on Quentin Nelson instead of going out and getting, like Darius Sneed or making those big time splash moves.
Oh yeah, but at the same time, they're fixing their mistakes that they made before. They were giving up all this for Trent Richardson. Now they're actually getting Quentin Nelson. You know, So that's what I think about your Patriots. I think it's very optimistic for you guys to see this year. I don't think you guys are going to get blown out. I don't think you're going to look at this team and be like, "What the fuck, Bill?" You know what I mean? Like you're
Listen,
not going
man,
to be like,
we just need a quarterback. These are my three goals. Need a quarterback who's not throwing the ball to the other team every play. You need a passing game that looks like it's competent, like have a receiver that can catch a ball. And then, like I said, just don't get smacked. My defense has never been a concern. We didn't really get blown out a ton last year. Most of the touchdowns we let up were pick sixes and fumble sixes. Like it was
exactly,
offensive
and
mistakes,
that's
not defensive performance.
exactly, and like the best
And then stay healthy.
example and the best example of like y'all's team's identity last year was what Chandler Jones did to y'all. Literally, like that's what it was. Just like I don't know what's even going on. I don't know why that mistake even happened. Just take a sack. Like, what are we doing here? Where now it's kind of like, all right, like we got our QB that we're gonna believe in now. We're gonna just see what happens, and we're gonna work throughout these kinks. You know, we don't have a head coach that we're worrying about baggage now, about him too busy trying to win a Super Bowl without Tom Brady. We now don't have to worry about Tom Brady anymore like that. He's retired and gone from the league. We just get to start anew now with all new faces and all new places. We have no ties to the previous regimen outside
Oh,
of the
dude,
fact.
like Gillette Stadium took down all the old do your job stuff. All the old like
Exactly.
there's not a ton of Belichick shrines in the locker room anymore.
Exactly. Like, listen, man, out there, you go to your girl, you get a girlfriend, you go to her house, and she got all her ex stuff put up. What that say about you? It's time to go get a new
Seriously.
organization. It's
Yeah,
time
yeah,
to
yeah.
demand a trade. That's what that means.
Tell her to clean house.
Exactly. Like if you're going to fully reinvest into somebody, whether that's an organization, a human being, be full in on it. Like don't half-ass nothing, full ass everything. And that's what I think that
no half measures.
yeah, because that's what I think the Patriots, the number one mistake they made with Mac Jones was the fact that it was too much holding on to what y'all were and like trying to carry that into through Mac Jones. And Mac Jones is like, dude, I'm not Tom Brady. Like, I may have been an out of shape white dude, but like I'm not him.
Listen,
So
man, I don't got that competitive edge. You know what I mean? You know, I went to Alabama and I got a Maserati right when I got there. Like, this is
exactly, dude.
all right. Patriot stuff's out of the way. We're thinking somewhere between 1-15, 7-10. Put it at 4-13. But it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a prettier 4-13. It's gonna be a 4-13 you can feel good about. It's a character building
Exactly.
for. It's a character building 4-13.
Thank you. Exactly. You see the potentials, like, okay, but they just need to go to the gym a little bit more. You know what I
No, yeah,
mean?
yeah,
He
yeah.
needs to get a better haircut. He needs to get better clothes, and
No,
he'll be a 10 out of 10.
needs to go hit the store real quick. Go get yourself some button ups, get some nice jeans, get some
Exactly.
sunglasses.
Get a
You'll be
different
dapper.
haircut,
You'll be
shave the
dapper.
mustache. Like we're
Yeah,
all
yeah,
good.
yeah. But Patriot stuff's out of the way. Let's get into the NFL as a whole. We're gonna kick it off starting about primetime games. The Patriots got one of them Thursday night against the Jets, week 3 or 2, 3.
Yeah, you guys get the primetime game early and out the way.
Yep, as to be expected. Patriots, you're not the talk of the league anymore. It's crazy just how much like the Colin Cowards of the world, the ESPN's First Takes, they don't give a damn about the Patriots anymore.
I mean,
But
and it goes to show you how powerful a brand is when the Cowboys are still being talked about, like to this day. And the Patriots, the moment
seriously,
they start losing, it's like, oh,
seriously,
let's talk about Kansas City now.
like once Bill was gone, it was like, all right, there's nothing else to talk about. I mean, seriously, like they were putting Belichick on the graphics for our
Mhm.
primetime game against the Steelers late last year, because we didn't have any players.
Exactly. Like that's insane.
Yeah, but Gerardo, let's talk about some primetime games. What are some of our favorite primetime games? What are some of the opportunities that the NFL may have missed, and what are some of the matchups that you're looking forward to?
So I got a top 10 list for you guys. I looked at
Perfect.
both Thursday, Sunday night, Monday night. The big hot take that I have is the fact that Thursday night football beats out Monday night football on, I'd say, quality over like quantity wise. I still Monday night football still got games, But there's a lot of games you're like, man, this is like early Thursday night football stuff. Like when Mike Mayock was calling games type Thursday night football, like, oh man,
Ooh,
come on.
we're talking like
Like
2011,
like when they
2012.
first started it, when let's not act like Thursday night football was off to a great start, because when it came
Nope.
out, we were like,
Remember Titans Jaguars color rush in Jacksonville, and it's like,
let's remember the colorblind game about
yeah,
the New
Jets,
York Jets
Jets and
and
Bills.
the Buffalo Bills when they wore red and green color rush. Come on. Like a lot of people didn't even know what team they were on. So top 10, number 10 game, primetime game. Week 10, Detroit versus Houston Sunday night football. You have two teams, new franchises that are changing a leaf, that are in the hunt to not only just be in the playoffs, but like try to be the number one seed in overall in the NFL. Then we go to week 8, Dallas versus San Francisco. It's a big time classic rivalry. Like there's been a lot of historic games that come from that. I don't expect anything else from that. Plus, it's week 8. You get that like towards the middle of the season. That's on a Sunday night as well too. Monday night, one of the rare games they do get. Week 14, you got Cincinnati versus Dallas. And big reason why that you have Joe Burrow in Arlington, like against Dallas. Like that's going to be a lot of people already know him from his Super Bowl, but like he hasn't really made that big of a statement since then, other than the fact that he looks like Anakin Skywalker now and grew out his hair.
Yeah.
But he is now like Dallas to me is like Madison Square Garden for basketball. It is the place to show out and go all out. And that's when like you become a national icon. And then also it's not only just that, but it's also playing against the Cowboys. Like some of the most iconic moments happen with or without, like with the Cowboys going for or against them. The catch that wasn't the catch with Des Bryant,
Odell.
the Odell Beckham catch, like there's, and then also the fact that like it's Dallas, everybody's going to talk about it on the ticker the next day. It's going to happen. So like, and it for it to be on a Monday night football, meaning you're the only game in town, and everybody's going to talk about it. Then we go into number 7. I got week 12, Baltimore versus LAC. We got the Harbaugh Bowl again, part 2. It's going to be, that's also a Monday night football game. And then after that, we got Thursday night, Green Bay versus Detroit, week 14. End of the season's heating up. We're going to see, is Jordan Love actually good? And to see, like, the Packers had a really good end of the year.
It could be that could. I don't want to like poo-poo on the Lions being like, oh well, they could lose their spot in the division, but if things turn out well for Green Bay, that could be the game that either Green Bay extends their chances for the NFC North, or that's the game that the Lions put them away. Like
That's the
going
game
to
I think
be,
Detroit needs to circle on the calendar the most. Like, it
yeah.
is that game. It is, are we a poverty franchise or are we the new Lions? Like, which one are we going to be? Because this is, if Jordan Love wins this game and does it in primetime fashion, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and now Jordan Love is just going to be y'all's dads for the rest of your existence until whoever they find else again in the first round in the
No,
20th picks.
seriously,
Like,
10 years from now.
and so then after that, we going into the top 5. I got Cincinnati versus Baltimore week 10 as well too. We're also Joe Burrow going against Lamar Jackson, an MVP in that one. That's a Thursday night game as well too. And it's a divisional rivalry. On top of that, we're a little bit more in the halfway point through the season. So that way we are now seeing like, oh, we need to get divisional wins in order to see who's going to get a bye week or who's going to like have better home field advantage throughout the playoffs. Then we go into number 4, Chargers versus Kansas City, week 14 Sunday night football. Harbaugh against Andy Reid. Harbaugh, look, everywhere he has gone has been majorly successful and flipped a very talented team. He inherited a very talented team in the 49ers and flipped that completely. I fully believe that is going to be the same scenario at the Chargers. I think an identity is going to be given. They drafted Joe Alt. They are going to punch you in the mouth. As weirdly as that said, because the Chargers, for the longest I remember, been a very finesse team.
No, for sure. Yeah. High flyers.
And I think that Harbaugh is like, I got me a quarterback, something he really did not have at San Francisco like that. And he is now He's like, I'll do all the hard stuff for you, Justin Herbert. You just got to go throw 5,000 yards for me. Simple as that. And he'll build up the identity of the team. He will. And I do think that's when I still think early on Kansas City is probably going to still have their number because familiarity and the fact that this is John Harbaugh's first year as a Chargers head coach. But don't be surprised if they do upset Kansas City or be one of the only teams to hand them a loss this season. Top 3, Baltimore, Kansas City, week 1. We're back to football, baby, and we got a great matchup to start it off. No injuries as of now. We got 2 MVPs. We got 2 of the best teams in the league. And for Lamar to prove his
heavily
point.
Upgraded.
Yep. And we also have Lamar having to prove his point at the beginning of the season. He let them down, for us to not see Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl. And thank you, Lamar. We really appreciate that.
Yep.
And then the final 2 games. Week 2, was the number 2, week 11, Houston versus Dallas, Monday Night Football. You have the Texans, who are completely all in on CJ Stroud, did the opposite of what they did with Deshaun Watson. When Deshaun Watson got good, they traded away all his players.
Yeah.
Now with CJ Stroud, when he's under this young rookie contract, Stephon Diggs, all these weapons, we're going to build around him.
That window.
Exactly. Like, let's be successful. And then it's, like I said about Dallas, you're playing in Arlington. You are now going to see who's the team in Texas. Now, is CJ Stroud that dude?
No, yes, definitely no Texas bias here.
I mean, but at the same time,
I see your point.
It's a great way for CJ Stroud to prove whether or not he's actually that guy. Because one rookie season, look, RG3 had an amazing rookie season, but nobody was calling him the GOAT. I don't know why some people are saying that about CJ Stroud. Yeah, he had an amazing rookie season, but I'm going to need that 4 years straight, dude, before I could start saying something about that. And I do think that Dallas, being put in primetime matchups now, as many as Houston has, is a great way to prove, for him to get those accolades to be called as good of a quarterback as he is in the league. And number 1 is, I think, week 16, Houston versus Kansas City.
Couple of Houston entries there, Gerardo.
Yeah, I think they got the final 2 spots. They also got the 10th spot as well, too. Kansas City had 1, 2. They had 2 spots that I had. Dallas had a whole bunch because it's just, to me, the thing isn't about Dallas as the team. It's just kind of like the aura of which it is playing in Arlington as well, too. And the fact that it's, when something happens in Dallas like that, like the Des Bryant, the catch that wasn't the catch, or when Aaron Rodgers came back on them, or when Peyton Manning faked out the whole NFL stadium and rushed for a touchdown. It is the aura in which, like I said, it's like the Madison Square Garden of NFL football. It is the place where I'm putting myself on the map. This is where I'm going to do it. It's not really much about the team. It's also just making Jerry Jones cry.
So I think your list is pretty good. I'm going to lift off some honorable mentions that I had noticed when I was scrolling through. You get the Dolphins and Rams on Monday night, week 10. I think that could be pretty cool. I think the Dolphins are a really, really talented team. I think the Rams are a really, really talented team. A lot of people are just kind of overlooking those two. I think that could be a really interesting game. Yeah, Monday Night Football, not great by any means. Let's look.
Does Houston play Miami, or who does Miami have a good team to go against that can put up stupid scores? Do they play Kansas City in a primetime game?
I can't imagine, because Kansas City won the division. We're not playing the West. Let's see the Dolphins' schedule here. The Rams are one. The Rams are certainly one of them.
Yeah, but there's no Aaron Donald too, and then half that organization's ready to retire.
It's true. The Packers, the Texans, the 49ers. So you have Dolphins, Texans, you have Dolphins, Niners, and the game you choose to put after that on, I think this is a Monday night game. December 29th. Is that Monday night? I don't know.
December 20th. Check.
Either way. So you have the Dolphins, Texans, 49ers, Dolphins, back to back. the Monday night game or the Sunday night game that you throw on there is Dolphins-Browns. Give me a break.
You had 2 other opportunities to have an elite level game. Like, one, you have a potential Super Bowl matchup with the Dolphins 49ers. With one of them, your head coach was the former assistant over there to Shanahan. And then on top of that, you could have had an AFC championship match that you could have advertised that was going to be high scoring. But yeah, let's all go see Tua play Deshaun Watson.
Stefanski versus McDaniel. Now, if that doesn't get you excited, I don't know what will.
Okay. I couldn't even tell you a historic Browns Miami Dolphins matchup that would even make remotely any sense. Like if they were going to play each
They
other.
played on
like that.
Christmas one time. I don't know.
That was probably the worst gift of all time to give somebody. Would be
No,
a Dolphins
seriously.
Browns
Yeah, this is like
matchup.
2013 Ryan
You couldn't pick
Tannehill
2
Dolphins.
polar opposite identities as a logo as well too.
Seriously, flashy, shiny, flamboyant, and then you got the Browns. And if Rodgers stays healthy, the Jets games could be very interesting. But we're all just kind of like, let's see, hands off on the Jets.
That was kind of my idea behind that. Why I didn't really pick any Jets games. I was just like, look, outside of Aaron Rodgers, like, man, if their quarterback was like anybody else, would I care? No.
Depends on the quarterback.
But also at the same time, like it could have been like a decent quarterback. Like let's just take out Aaron Rodgers and put in Tua. Like I don't really care that much either.
You're right.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's just the statue of who Aaron Rodgers is. Like that's the reason why Jets games became more notable. And like Aaron Rodgers could be statistically the worst quarterback this year. He could. Let's just say that. Jets games are still going to be watched because it's him on the Jets. Like honestly, you put Daniel Jones on the Jets
again. Ain't nobody gonna be watching.
I mean, nobody was watching him last year, anyways. Like that, once that happened, once he carried out that flag, it was like, all right, I got my check.
No, seriously, that made my money's worth right there.
Exactly.
All right, so schedule talk is just about done. We're coming to the closing segment here. Let's talk about some way too early predictions. I know you're good for bold predictions, Gerardo. Out there ideas, and we're here for them. So give me some of the things that you think can or will happen in 2024. Any fashion that you want to take it. I'll hand the reins to you here. I know that you're fully prepared. You took some good notes, and you've delivered the boldness to us.
Let's see. Off the top of my head, I'm gonna probably say that despite winning Rookie of the Year, I think the Bears are gonna fire their head coach. Like
Okay.
I think that probably be one. This is not just for this year, but in general. If Stephon Diggs gets traded to the Texans, all he does is see confetti fall for another team to go to the Super Bowl and do that for the next 3 to 4 years where he's at the Texans. The Texans literally have no reason to keep playing football. Like the main reason why you got him is to be in the Super Bowl within 3 to 4 years. If they do not,
his contract that they can cut him after this year and it doesn't mean anything?
Yes, that is true. They can. I do, and I love what they're doing. I really do. But like the Texans have legitimately have gone all in. And if they do not win the division this year, if they are not in the AFC championship this year, they could lose it their first year. That's absolutely fine because it's CJ Stroud's second year. It's him with Stephon Diggs' his first year. Perfectly fine. That's the minimum requirement for them this year. The minimum requirement for them this year. There's no excuses. You have done everything in order to be there and to lose to the Chiefs. I do think that it's Matt Stafford's probably last year. I think him and Cooper. I predicted him, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, and their head coach would all retire at the same time. Well, Aaron Donald left, so the other three
he took it. He took it a little early. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's still going to happen. I do not know if they're going to all have one last hurrah over there. The Giants, like the Broncos, we're going to have historically bad teams in the NFL. And I think that there are more bad teams in the NFL right now than there are good.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
I can safely say that. Outside of Philly, Kansas City, Miami, and the 49ers, Baltimore Ravens, like, and the Texans ish, like, I think the rest of the league is like hot garbage. Like, the whole NFC South exists. For what reason? I don't know. Like,
For
that
a
is like,
middling Tampa and Falcons team, and
that
then
is the
the
closest
Saints
to
and Panthers.
Division II NFL as it gets, is that whole division. And also the talk about it, none of those 4 teams have any sense of direction as well too for the future.
I mean, you
Like,
thought the Falcons had one until they drafted Penix.
which makes no sense. Like, okay, let's say they win 9 to 8 games this season. Okay, what are we doing with Penix? Like, the crazy part is that you could have drafted a position or a player to help you out to get you to 10 to 12 wins and really put you ahead of the curve. But you decided to, oh yeah, let's just draft a left-handed quarterback who's been
It's
more
crazy
injured.
that the Panthers might have the best direction of any of them.
Yeah, but the direction was almost getting a different quarterback if they had their pick this year
The
too.
Buccaneers, I mean, they are riding this thing out with Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans and Godwin, like the remnants of what Brady had.
They should win their division by default. Like, Tampa Bay should technically win their division by default.
I'm still picking Atlanta. I think that the Kirk Cousins signing is huge, and the Falcons were in it anyways. Arthur Smith is gone. They went and brought in this Rams style offense, which I'm really excited for.
Oh yeah,
Tampa,
like I do think. I think Tampa's 10-7, and I think Atlanta's 9-8. Like, we're splitting hairs. Like, it's the same. It's a team that's going to lose in the wild card. Like, that's all. Like,
yeah.
like
At the end of
whatever.
the day, they're gonna get the home playoff game that they don't deserve. Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna either lose to Green Bay, you're gonna lose to Detroit, you're gonna lose
Dallas
to
or Philly.
Dallas or Philly. Like, okay, or the 49ers. Right? Like, it's not it's very interesting to see what's gonna happen in Seattle as well too.
I'm not high
Like,
on them either.
I'm not either, but the 49ers are gonna walk their division like instantly. Like, I think also Seattle got rid of a great head coach, their best ever head coach, who somehow won with like Geno Smith at quarterback. And then on top of that, you have the Rams, who are like, we have no young pieces. We won our Super Bowl. That's
Hey, now
it. We're
Puka
done.
Nacua is showing out.
Oh yeah, but it's like, that's it. At the end of the day, they don't have no.
Kyron Williams too, but they just went and drafted Blake Corum. So I guess Sean McVay still hates running backs.
And then the Arizona Cardinals is still like, we paid Kyler Murray to do all this. We get all these receivers, and then we get rid of these receivers to get more receivers. And then we're hoping that Marvin Harrison proves that he's the one receiver we want. All Arizona's doing right now, guys, is just what Detroit did before they got Megatron. Let's get all these receivers until one of them pans out, because Kyler has to throw the ball eventually, right?
Yeah, you can't run around in the backfield forever, I guess.
Right, exactly. And I think Buffalo's going to be really bad this year. Not
Like,
really
really
bad, but bad in comparison to what they're expected to be.
So not winning the division.
No, they're not winning the division. They're not. But at the same time, this is a very good way for Josh Allen to be like, I don't need nobody. Now, it hasn't shown that throughout his career. This is his ultimate, like, if he wants to solidify himself as the second best quarterback in the NFL right now, this is the year to do that.
Who'd you vote for on Dubs' poll for QB2?
What was it? That was
so you had after Mahomes,
Kansas City.
in Dubs'
So obviously,
poll.
Yeah, Mahomes take the number one easily. Number two, if I were to build a franchise around him, I think it was either probably Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, or Joe Burrow. Between those three.
I know I voted for Allen because I think he's just got a super arm.
It's just Cam Newton all over again. Like, that's all Josh Allen really is. It's just Cam Newton part 2 to me.
See if I can go find that post again.
But yeah, I think Buffalo, what they have done on paper leads me to believe that they're not going to be that competitive in the NFL unless Josh Allen just says straight up, I'm going to carry this whole franchise on my back.
Which he certainly has a talent to do.
Oh yeah, he does. I'm not saying he doesn't, but it's just like, you have a tall task. Like, You got rid of Stephon Diggs, and you got rid of Gabe Davis. Like, Gabe Davis is arguably, like, he by default is a number 2 wide receiver. In reality, he's a 3 and a 4. But, like, you didn't go out there to make any draft picks to get any good wide receivers. You did not make any trades to get any wide receivers. You didn't even bother attempting to help your franchise quarterback out outside of Dalton Kincaid. Like, what are we on about?
No, who's
Like,
is the wide receiver? The wide receiver one there. The group is Keon Coleman, Curtis Samuel, and Khalil Shakur.
so guys who are all 4s.
Yeah, like they aren't even starters in New England, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
Keon Coleman, I guess, has like that kind of. He's the guy that you're banking on becoming that number 2, number 1 guy. So I think he's probably better than Pop Douglas and Jalen Polk.
And the thing is, the league has proven that you can go out and just trade for any player you want. Like, if you really want somebody, like, there's no for an asking price. Like, the only one is Patrick Mahomes, and probably like any quarterbacks. Outside of quarterbacks, you want to play. Like, put it this way: what's Devontae Adams doing on the Raiders? You can't go out and go get him. Like,
I wish we would.
Like, the only reason why he went there was because he went there for Derek Carr. He got rid of Derek Carr, and he's been unhappy since. He'll collect the paycheck like any other good player would, but like, he's clearly on the table.
A few photographers on the way out, no big deal.
Exactly. Like, there are, like, Justin Jefferson. You don't think he wants out? You think he wants to go learn with the new quarterback? No, he does not. He wants to win. Like, you can go get him.
Have they signed that deal yet with Jefferson?
No. Exactly. And you don't think that's going to cost a pretty? That's going to be so much money.
It's going to be it's going to be the most lucrative wide receiver contract we've ever seen.
And they better do it now while he's cheap, because every day passes, he gets more and more expensive, and the more and more he's going to want to hold out.
He's going to be making upwards of $35 a year.
Oh,
it's going to be outrageous.
Like, it's going to be insane for him. Like, and also the reason why he was in such trade talks this offseason. Like, there's truth behind every rumor, right? It wasn't like Justin Jefferson was going to go to the Patriots, but why is that being talked about? Because Justin Jefferson's unhappy. He hasn't been paid yet. Like, he has. He's put up all these Hall of Fame statistic numbers over there, with or without Kirk Cousins. And now you're telling me, well, the team clearly doesn't want nothing to do with Kirk Cousins. He knew that. They probably told him the direction in which the organization was going to go. And then now they're like, okay, we're going to be drafting this quarterback. What do you think? They probably told him they were going to take J.J. McCarthy for all along. And what did he probably say? Man, bro, if you give me a trade, I'm out of here. Like, what's that say? I'm sure he'll be more than happy to catch the ball when he's signing a contract that gives him $40 million a year, like anybody would. But at the same time, there must have been truth to that, where he was like, dude, I gotta be here with somebody I don't know is going to be good. With a coach that, what was his first year, was last year?
Kevin O'Connell? No, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Like,
and they were basically the best offensive football with the worst defense in football in 2022.
Exactly. Like, he's going to be frustrated, and he's underpaid, and he's not paid. So, like,
last year I think they would have come close to winning the division if Kirk didn't get hurt.
Exactly. Like, so he's been that close to success already. Like, let the Vikings win only 5 games this season, and tell me he ain't going to put himself on the trade block after within year 2 of that organization. Like, and just say, you already got Addison. I don't care about y'all. Like, be my guest. I'm out.
Listen,
that's why ultimately, like, my big bold prediction for the Vikings was just take Marvin Harrison Jr. Just trade up to get him, and then ship off Justin Jefferson after one more year. Like, just
but could you deal with Sam Darnold being your quarterback all year 1?
I mean, you have too much talent. You have too much talented. Like, somebody, they definitely have to get the ball out to somebody. Like, there's no way that all this talent ain't going to amount to anything. Or, best case scenario, you trade Justin Jefferson to get a quarterback or picks.
No, yeah, I hadn't considered that.
That's what I was saying. Like, if you were to go, let's just say you really were not in love. You're like, listen, if I don't get Drake May, and if I don't get
trade him to the Giants for pick 6, then go and take McCarthy or Penix there anyway.
Just say you were not in love with JJ McCartney. Like, and just say, like, you know what? We have this. Justin Jefferson may hold out, and he's going to ask for so much money that may hinder our team's organization completely. We let go of Kirk Cousins because we didn't want to pay him, and he's the most important part of an NFL team as the quarterback position. We let him walk. Like, what about Justin Jefferson? I think that's what I'm saying about the Bills. It's like, you're telling me you couldn't go get a wide receiver? I just think you didn't try hard enough.
No, seriously.
So, like, I mean, look at Miami, got Tyreek Hill. Look what the Texans did. They literally, that's also something that doesn't make sense to me. How about you just give him back to Minnesota, or like go give him to Detroit, or give him to Chicago? Like, go ship him off in the NFC East. And worst case scenario, you have to meet him in the Super Bowl instead of on your way to the Super Bowl with a young quarterback on top of that, because that's what they did with Josh Allen. We traded for Diggs when he was young to have him a legitimate weapon because we didn't have no weapons. And now he's out there being a weapon for CJ Stroud.
Now Allen's really he's got to be the man at this point.
Yep. So other than that, that's my bold prediction. There's nothing bold about the Pittsburgh, Steelers going 9-8. That's just going to happen. And then
you think they'll be third in the division there?
Yeah. If Joe Burrow stays healthy, yeah. That's the biggest question mark.
I have some people telling me in my ear that they think that the Steelers could very well win this division. At the very least, come in second. They're not high on Cincinnati. They don't know what Joe Burrow is going to be, as soon as T. Higgins is out the door. They don't know about Cleveland. And I'm not high on Cleveland myself, but that's a really good defense.
Yeah, here's the thing. Okay, let's play worst case, best case scenario for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Somehow Russell Wilson is Seahawk Russell Wilson.
Wouldn't that be something?
There you go. Pittsburgh Steelers, Iron Curtain comes back, and like I can understand that version existing, and the fact that you got rid of Matt Canada, the fact that you went out and said, all right, Pickett ain't the dude. Let's go get somebody that we can win games with, more than 9 games a year with. Okay, it's Russell Wilson. Okay.
Then you went and got Justin Fields as like, hey, maybe you resurrect him
a little bit. Well, they needed another guy to play running back. That's really what that was.
So he's going to be punt returner, right?
But at least there is an idea there, and I can understand that because what? Joe Burrow has been consistently hurt. They have really not addressed the offensive line like that with
they have
Cincinnati.
Now. Trent Brown was over there.
Right?
Captain America's Mims in the first round.
But then it's also like, when Joey B shows up, is he going to be consistent throughout there? I fully believe that. I do think that Joe Burrow is going to be like that. We're going to see what we saw from him to go to the Super Bowl and carry that team there. But yeah, like I can see why they fully believe that. Like Lamar Jackson can regress. There's not like he can't. Like there is that possibility, but the Ravens have been consistent. They have been a little bit more consistent on the winning side than Pittsburgh has since Lamar Jackson's been there. On top of that, you also get Mark Andrews back. Like Derrick that's also
there.
Thank you. Like you're essentially I think Baltimore's window is closing within 2 to 3 years. Like that, and they're realizing that. And they said we need to win now because like, what if Deshaun Watson decides to be MVP form Watson all of a sudden at the Browns? Like, what if all of a sudden, like what? They still got Cooper out there, don't they? Or actually, I do not know that. But I know they have Jerry Jeudy.
Yep. I think they still have Cooper. Browns roster.
So yeah, he's still on the Cleveland Browns. So, who, mind you, great receiver. So him and Jerry Jeudy on the same team. And
Elijah Moore is a 3. That's not bad.
And you're telling me, like, let's just say they pop off, like
David Njoku.
And then
if the Browns pop off, that's certainly something.
But at the same time, it's like kind of like, look, I'm same old Brownies. Like, there's a reason why that's a saying.
No, they're not going to go deep into the playoffs, but
it's funny because to me, it's like the opposite end of what the NFC South is, right? The NFC South is just a whole bunch of like, I don't know what's going on or what direction people are going. People want to win, but then they draft like they're losing. They're drafting like they want to win, but still lose. And then you have the AFC North, where it's just like, if one of these teams pop off, they're going to be the number one team in the NFL. Like, honestly, you can
And then
see
it's just
Russell.
which one. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, but it's also like, what has Watson done recently for me to believe he's going to pop off? Nothing. But I know he got it in him. He did it at the Texans. Like, and the same thing with like Russell Wilson. He has shown me that he doesn't pop off. But what if all of a sudden he goes like, all right, I got paid all this money to the Broncos. I really didn't like how corny I was. How about I start winning games? And then all of a sudden starts winning games. Or if Lamar Jackson goes, you know what? I want to win another MVP, and then does that. Or I'm tired of losing and not going to the Super Bowl and losing to Josh Allen and losing to, Patrick Mahomes. Or then we go into Joe Burrow. He goes, all right, I want to win a Super Bowl now.
I'm sick of getting hurt.
Yeah, like, you see what I'm like. That's the crazy part about that division. Like, to be best quarterback, like, I don't know it. I couldn't really tell. Like, what do like y'all's division? You have Drake May, who's unproven, and then you have Aaron Rodgers, who's hurt, and then you have Tua, and then Josh Allen. It's decent.
I thank the Lord every day the Dolphins are about to pay Tua Tagovailoa about $65 million a year.
Right, and then you have the AFC North, who's nothing but MVPs, former MVPs, MVP potential quarterbacks, all in the division. And then on top of that, it's also stability. Like, it isn't Russell Wilson on the Bengals, right? Because that's not like I wouldn't believe would pop off. It's Russell Wilson on the Steelers. Like, people tend to forget this is actually an actual good organization. Like, knows how to draft well. Like, to not having a losing record on your resume as a head coach is insane. Like, it's crazy. Like, yeah, is it mediocrity? Sure.
Not
But at
even
the
Bill
same
has
time,
that.
the amount of turnover that Tomlin has had in his tenure to still have a winning record at the end of the year is insane.
So you think it's Steelers second, third place?
Yeah, like, honest to God, like, the biggest bold prediction you're going to get out of me at AFC is that one of the teams is going to be good. None of them are going to be bad.
That is bold. I don't know if I could come up with that.
The only other one is like, honest to God, what's low key a bad team. Like, Jacksonville, Tennessee are bad. The craziest scenario that can possibly happen, AFC South wise, Anthony Richardson and CJ Stroud do not progress at all. They do not get any better, and it is what they is at that point, and they become like the college bust. People on here, including myself, have said they both were, and they don't get any better. The AFC South would be a complete mess at quarterback. Like, you have now, the crazy part is it's like boom or bust, the AFC South. Trevor Lawrence, right? Second coming of Andrew Luck, quarterback wise. Will Levis was up there at one point. He could, if he become anything that some draft experts predicted him to be. Anthony Richard, all the talent, like, what was it? Cam Newton all over again. That's what everybody said about him.
Yep.
And then CJ Stroud. And mind you, the youngest core out of all of them in the NFL on the same division. Or Trevor Lawrence never became touchdown Jesus, as everybody claimed him to be, and he can never win. Will Levis loves mayonnaise more than he loves winning football. CJ Stroud is another Ohio State quarterback.
He's certainly beating those allegations right now, isn't he?
I mean, look, like, every dog finds his bone. That's all I'm gonna keep saying about that. Like, at the end of the day, yes, like, is CJ Stroud a great quarterback? Without a doubt. I am not going to argue that anymore. My only thing is, consistently, history has literally told me that every quarterback that has ever put on a Buckeyes helmet has never been to the Pro Bowl. Never.
CJ said, "Watch me, man. I'm just throwing it out there."
Mind you, these are also the same people that told me that Justin Fields was going to prove me wrong on that one. But okay.
It wasn't Fields Day. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. But listen, Houston. Y'all win. That's great. Y'all just got a 99% increase on y'all's ticket prices today. I appreciate that.
That was bad.
The biggest increase of all time. It went from like 100 and something to $300 now
About
on average
double.
ticket. Got the biggest increase. Now you go trade for another wide receiver. Let that go up a little bit more too.
Get JJ Watt out of retirement. Just jack it up a little more.
He could still play though. That dude could still
that
play.
AFC South. It could be the most interesting division, or it could be the worst one.
It's funny because that's you look at it. It's literally to me the biggest boomer bust. Like it could be like. The only thing is about Tennessee is to me is no head coach still.
So you think you're gonna go with the before we close off the normie pick for the way too early Super Bowl Chiefs Niners? Like you think that's the vibe right now? Because it never happens. We've never gotten the same matchup in the Super Bowl in like ever. Not in my lifetime.
There's never been a back-to-back repeat of the same Super Bowl back-to-back years.
Not in my lifetime.
Okay. Because Chiefs and 49ers did play already beforehand.
The 2019 Pats Giants 4 years apart.
Pats Giants, Pats Eagles, Pats Rams. Imagine that your team's been so dominant. You've literally played against the same team again with a new regime.
Yeah, so I guess the Panthers are next, huh?
Yeah. Imagine that Drake May versus Bryce Young to repeat history.
Oh God!
If I were to do if Detroit goes to a Super Bowl.
Okay, Detroit goes to Super Bowl.
If Detroit like fully is like Dan Campbell to me prove that he loves playing pissed off. That dude does not need any more motivation or any more spite or bulletin board material in his life. But he keeps getting some. And Detroit's a great place to do it at because all they do is get crapped on all the time.
It's true.
If they look at what I fully believe that Dan Campbell is replaying that 49ers game every single day in the locker room to that team. And it's like, this better not happen again. This better not happen again. Like, and their picks, like all their rookies popped off last year. Great picks. I didn't like the order they were picked, but at the end of the day, you get Branch, you get Campbell, and you get their running back.
Gibbs, yeah.
Gibbs, all popped off. Jared Goff solidifying himself of what all the naysayers said about him actually being a good quarterback, a quarterback you can actually go to the Super Bowl with. And Amon-Ra Brown got paid. Like they're establishing toughness at every position. And it's like a dude Dan Campbell would like go fight for. And I do think that this is their year to be like, last year was their introduction. That's their LP, right? Now it's time to put out 8 Mile. Now it's time to put out that and really show the NFL that we are.
No, Lions fans will certainly appreciate the Eminem reference.
Oh yeah, because I mean, like last year was just like the Marshall Mathers LP. That's what it was. We got introduced. We were like, oh, I didn't know he could pop off like that. And then all of a sudden, now it's like, okay, 8 Mile's gonna come out. We got Curtain Call now, and
the Eminem show, yeah.
And this is what we are on right now with the Lions. Because if they don't, you're gonna just be same old Lions.
For the AFC, we're just gonna hand it over to Kansas City here.
Look, unless Patrick Mahomes to say, I'm good, I'm done. Because I know Travis Kelce is probably retiring next season. Like, he's going to be done. He's going to be a great stay-at-home husband for Taylor Swift. But I do think, like, even with him, he regressed completely this season. He's done.
A little bit, yeah.
And so, like, there's no way he's going to get better all of a sudden. I do think, like I said, best case scenario for the Chiefs, like worst case scenario for the Chiefs is losing 4 games. They've gotten their new wide receiver from Texas.
Worthy.
Exactly. Like it's the only like big roadblock really in their life right now is if Jim Harbaugh just comes in there, establishes identity, and punches them straight up in the mouth and be like, oh yeah, this is my division now, by the way. He can. I'm not against that because what he did at the 49ers was literally do that. But now he has a quarterback to do it with. Like, not for nothing, it wasn't like Alex Smith was the end-all, be-all. out there, and neither was like Colin Kaepernick. Like a big
Very
reason
much,
why they lost.
very much flash in the pan for Colin Kaepernick.
Exactly. And so now he has Justin Herbert, which to this day the Miami Dolphins are regretting not getting. Because
I'm
if they
very
had,
happy with I'm very happy with the decision they made. As
oh
much
yeah,
as much as Tua owns us, I'm very happy with that they didn't pick Justin Herbert because they would own us forever.
yeah. I think that's also the thing about like the Dolphins do with me. It's just like I just think Tua is just way too fragile. Like I just do think, and it's also not just like body wise. I just think he's also a fragile mindset too.
A little bit.
Like I do not see a dog in him at all. So I think the AFC is a little bit more predictable this year. I really do think it's just okay. What flavor of ice cream you want? You want vanilla bean, French vanilla, or homemade vanilla? That's Kansas City, Baltimore, or you want the Dolphins? Like, who do you want to be a
And then
13
maybe
win?
if you're feeling a little risky, you get the chocolate chip with the Houston Texans. All right.
Exactly. It's like it's not. We're not really reinventing the wheel out there in the AFC right now. It's not like what the Broncos all of a sudden pick Bo Nix and they pop off for 9 wins. No, stop. Like the Raiders with AOC is not going to win more than 6 games.
Oh, some people
All
think
this.
Minshew is a solidified starter there. I'm team AOC. I think O'Connell's your quarterback this year.
What's the
That's
point of
just
having
me.
Minshew as your starter? I just don't get that. What you're if if Gardner Minshew's your starting quarterback, you're just telling everybody you don't like AOC. Like that's what you're full on saying. Like what? Like you're gonna say Indianapolis is gonna pop off? No, it's like they got to beat the Texans first, and also we have yet to see one whole year of Anthony Richardson as well too. Taylor
So
fell
like
off a map.
the
Like
biggest question mark for the AFC for me is what do the Jets look like if Rodgers can play a full season? What do the Titans look like with Will Levis with some talent? The Colts, obviously, Anthony Richardson. Is he the QB of the future there for Indy, or is it he can't learn how to stay healthy? Which again, his injury was a freak accident, but we've seen him get himself into freak accidents before. And those are probably the big 3 right there. The Patriots, you're not concerned with any of this. You are sitting by and watching and just hoping that things get a little bit
let
better for
everybody
you.
beat each other up first. Let
Yeah.
everybody beat each other up. Let like the best thing the Patriots can best case scenario for the Patriots right now. Aaron Rodgers walks out, holds a flat again, and he's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm gonna collect my check.
Turns around and
Year
goes
2.
home.
And then I'm gonna get traded to the Vikings. And then I'm gonna pop off over there, like every other good Jet quarterback does. Then y'all look and you're like, oh, look, Josh Allen can't throw a ball unless it's to a good receiver. You guys are going to be like, well, as long as the Buffalo Bills don't draft a wide receiver, we really don't care. And then you just
Then
look at Tua,
getting over the
and then you're
Dolphins
just like, oh, he would have been a better quarterback if he used his right hand this whole time. Who would have thought? So I do think there is a level of optimism that you guys can have long term. Is it very like the
Listen,
Jets one is
Patriots can play spoiler. You've never been here before.
that's the best part about it, right? It's
Be
always
annoying.
great to be an underdog.
Be annoying.
It's the come up is always better.
I know that you're not a basketball guy, but I'll make this comparison. It's like the Indiana Pacers. They're annoying. They are very much just getting in the
And they're
way of
here,
people, and they've lived off that basically their entire existence.
which is funny
So
because they invented basketball. You think they'd actually be a lot better.
no, yeah, right. More than one
I
finals
mean, that's
appearance
kind of
in the
like their
last.
biggest thing. It's like you're trying to play underdog when your whole life has been revolving around this game you've literally invented and you have yet to win.
Yeah, well, the Canadians invented hockey, and they haven't had a cup win since Montreal in the '90s.
Well, that's because their greatest ever player was too busy playing in Pittsburgh. That's why. Maybe if you would have kept your own talent, it'd be a whole lot different story, you know?
No, seriously, more Canadian teams. Why are you letting us have it all? Oh, that's
Heck,
right, because we're America and we do what we want. All right. All that in mind, Gerardo, thank you for showing up today. This was
of course,
fun.
anytime, my man.
We'll have to do it again. If you want to, I'll let you tell everybody where they can find you. Listen, good music going on over there at night. I found some new favorites of my own. But
So it's 93Q Country. You could download the 93Q app. You could also go to 93QCountry.com. We got all of our lovely segments that we do on the air up on our website. Whole bunch of content. Follow us on Instagram at 93Q Country. The best way I could describe it is, yes, it is country music, but it isn't like AI generated country music. So what I mean by that is a lot of time our competitors, it sounds like if you told AI, hey, make me a country music playlist, it sounds like Luke Bryan. It sounds like
Hey, man,
generic.
don't disrespect Luke
I
Bryan,
mean, I'm not
man.
disrespecting
It's
the
my
dude, but
guy.
it's also like you will never hear Zach Bryan over there, is my
No,
point.
right,
Like you're not going to
right.
hear deep cuts sometimes over there. You're not going to really hear that much 90s country music like Shenandoah, we may play like 12 Dozen Roses. Same with like Garth Brooks and Dunn, like play a little bit more deeper cut music over there. And we also give a lot of newer artists a lot of praise. Like Dasha, we play on the radio right now, Shabuzi, the
Josh
Post Malone
Ross.
Morgan. Huh?
Josh Ross.
Josh Ross too, as well too. Yeah, I mean, Bailey Zimmerman as well too.
Yep.
Like we were very early on him, very early on Jelly Roll. So like, feel free to like, if you're into country music, I always say just give it a taste. If not, hey, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But feel free to check us out at 93qcountry.com and our Instagram at 93qcountry. And if you ever need help putting a playlist together, just ask Kaleb. I help him out all the time.
No, seriously, yeah. But that's the show, everybody. We will be back eventually. I don't know. We're in the dead point of the season, so I'll show up whenever I feel like. Maybe we'll do a live stream together at some point down the road. That could be fun. But Gerardo, thank you for showing up. Thank you for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, follow, as it says on the ticker below, and we will see you when we see you.
Adios, amigos.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Foxboro BeatCast. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.